Now we are live. Over to Professor Prasood. Prasood, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so on behalf of Techno India, Engineer Institute of Technology India, we would like to welcome Professor Lance Fang, an eminent academician in the field of artificial intelligence and its applications. This is a part of our ongoing international lecture webinar series, and it is the 6th edition today. So we are really thankful to you, Professor, for devoting your time in spite of busy schedule. So let me introduce our speaker today, Professor Lance Fang. He is Emeritus Professor of Murdoch University, Australia. He has graduated with a BSc degree with first class honors in maritime studies in 1981 and a Master of Engineering degree in System Test Technology from University of Wales. His PhD has been awarded in 1994 with a thesis on application of AI to electric power systems. He joined Murdoch University in 2003 and was appointed as Emeritus Professor in 2015. In 2017, he was awarded an honorary PhD degree in IT by Walaika University, Thailand, in recognition of his contributions towards the development and advancement of research and postgraduate programs. So he is an eminent academician. He has supervised over 30 postgraduate and doctoral students, and he has published over 330 academic articles in international journals and conference proceedings. So obviously you can, and he's also a senior member of the IEEE. So he is he's a living legend and an authority in the field of your artificial intelligence and applications. I welcome you, Professor, that we are really fortunate enough and you are here. So by virtue of your knowledge, by virtue of your delivery, we will definitely be benefited. And this is just the beginning because we have a long-term association with you because as you know that in December 2020 in international conference, you are one of the keynote speakers. So you have already accepted our invitation. Once again, thank you so much and over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation and for the very kind words of introduction as well. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, so just let me know that if it is okay. It's okay? You can see my screen now?
Yes, Professor.
All right, if you can see my screen, I'm going to take away my camera so that you can concentrate on the screen. Okay, once again, a very good evening to every one of you and greetings from Perth, Western Australia. We are having a pretty cool afternoon, so I'm hoping that your weather is warmer over your side. And well, you have already heard a very kind introductions. So I take this opportunity to thank for the organizers, the associate professors, the assistant professor, Yogendra Singh Solanki, and also for Professor Prasan for the organizing of this seminar. And okay, so this is the second time I'm going to run this seminar. Well, sometimes I have been running quite a fair amount of webinars since May, and this is going to be my 36th seminar. So a couple of them, there are a certain degree of repeating because it all depends on the demands and the requests. So I do see that, well, the needs, well, in India is here, whereby the people are really thirsting for informations and resources. And to that role, I believe that actually we have a role to play. But nevertheless, well, I have to make a disclaimer that well, this is entirely based on my opinion and a personal experience, and they're not necessarily the opinion of IEEE, although I'm making use of the information from the public domains. And the target audience, well, yes, the undergraduate students, postgraduate students, and the researchers and the faculty members. So I'm hoping that I'm able to do a role as some kind of bridge or pointer, so to show you some of the information that may be related to your research interest and also maybe for your study and also for your career. So for the agenda today is I just quickly take a quick look at introducing myself. Well, the reason on this one is not so much just simply blowing a trumpet, but rather I would like to show to you that when you encounter some names and some researchers you're not too familiar with, well, take a good look at the person's background and public domain information. And then also useful for yourself as well, especially if you are going to establish a research portfolio. You also need to see that how your presence in the cyberspace and the public domain, people can recognize it. Because when you apply for grants and even publication, people look into the background as well. So I would like to introduce IEEE very briefly, because I'm not too familiar with your organization, whether you have an IEEE student branch over your site. But nevertheless, I do believe IEEE is a very important organization in the professional technical areas, whereby we have developed a lot of information and also the standards for the industry. So sometimes for the IEEE members, they themselves may not be too familiar with the organizational structure and the resources available. So I take it upon myself that, under all the opportunities, I would like to share with people about this information. Then I'll take a look at some of the specific areas in terms of the emerging technologies that have been funded by IEEE. So a lot of these areas that are still existing on the IEEE website, and then it's highly recommended that you can take a look and explore further. Of course, with the shortage of time, I will not be able to cover every individual initiatives in detail. But I'm hoping that I just want to give you the directions and pointers so that you can take a look at those for yourself, so then continue your further work and further study. And then I provide a quick summary of our discussion today. So in order to find out a little bit further of our background, which you have already heard from Professor Prosan earlier on, you can search my university at Murdoch University, Lance Fang, and profiles, and you will come across this page. But the reason I want to show you this page is you can also get some of the reprint or maybe download of some of my past papers, and also the PhD thesis, which I will show you shortly. So under this web page, you can see under different headings, and I can assure you that I have been keep on updating the event and the speaking engagement. For tonight's event, actually, it's already I've already put it up there already. So where am I now? Well, I am located on the west coast of Australia, and I understand that your university is Techno India is somewhere up in the northwest part. Okay, and this looks a pretty impressive building that you have. Well, I'm on the west coast. And then the state of WA is a pretty big state. More or less, I would say that we cover around 1/3 or maybe 1/4 of our overall areas. But we have only around 10% of the overall Australia population. We only got 2.4 million out of 24 million in Australia. Within the metropolitan area, we have around 2 million people or so. And we are gradually having quite a good number of migrants and students from India. And Murdoch University is located on the south of the river. We have a Swan River, which if you got a chance to visit, I would say it's pretty picturesque. We are the second oldest university in the state of WA. The oldest one is the University of Western Australia. The other two are Curtin University and Edith Cowan University. We have one private university, which is the Notre Dame University, which is affiliated with the Notre Dame University in USA. And we are located on the south of the river. It's quite convenient for us to go to the city, maybe around 15 to 20 minutes drive. On the whole, the traffic in Perth is quite reasonable, except the peak hours. And maybe on the freeway, you take a little bit of time. Otherwise, unless there's some accident, I would say that we got no problem at all. So I would say we're pretty fortunate. My personal background. Well, I always like to refer to some of the photos you see on the right-hand side in here. Well, really, there has been this is 1974. It was the first, my job assignment as a radio electronic officer. And this is the radio room on one of the ship called American Maine. It's a small ship. And then this is my second assignment in 1976, another ship called Eagle Arrow. And then this is the photo when I did my master degree and I was doing the project in the lab. I'm always amazed in terms of the technology have changed over the years. Well, the first 2 years that when I was working as a radio officer, we relied on telecommunication through Morse code. And then we relied on the transmissions through the medium wave and high frequencies. And then as you can see on the left-hand side here, this is the radio transmitter, which is a speaker refrigerators. And some of in here are the receivers, etc. But even so that if in a few years time, I've already seen the change in the technology, the satellite communication, not so much for the transmission of a voice and all those things, but as a emergency system actually has already been put in place. When I did my master degree in 1981, 82, when I did my master degree, and this was my first encounter of microprocessors. And this is the equipment you see actually is a Hewlett Packard, 64,000 microprocessor development system. And just imagine, just over in a period of around, now looking in 40 years now, we have advanced from a very primitive microprocessor at that time, which is a 6800 8-bit microprocessor. Compared to now, we got a 32 bits and you have the 64 bits, you have the multi-core, etc. So the advancement of technology is really amazing. Well, throughout my career, I would say maybe now looking back around close to 50 years now. And then you have already heard some of my personal experience in terms of job. Most of my time has been in the academic, although that I have also served in the management role, as a dean of a research director, and also have a research center as well. Within IEEE, I have served for over 25 years. I've been a member longer than that. And I have played different roles with the societies. But I would always consider as an honor been working on two main areas. One is on the conference quality, which I help out in overseeing and ensuring the quality of the conference proceeding in our IEEE repository, the Explore. Another one is with the New Initiatives Committee, which I will talk about some of these support and the projects we have given to. Well, this is where the emerging technology comes in, and I'm going to illustrate this with some of these examples. And then I've also been a technical society on the board of governors as well, IEEE System Man and Cybernetic Society. And then within the geographical units, I've been serving in the councils, within the local sections and chapters as well. Well, looking into my university website, you'll be able to take a look at the list of publication. In there, they listed 334 papers. Although I do have more than that, actually, I must have closed around 360 or 70 or so. And because some of the earlier papers, they were not in the electronic format, so that's why they were not included in there. Well, you can really download, the information from the papers. Not necessarily all of them are available, but you can take a look at that. Another one is a list of theses. Again, I have 31 theses I have supervised to completion. And again, you can download each one of them and you can have a good idea in terms of the areas I've covered in the past. And also the student I've supervised before, I have a good number of them are from Thailand. And that's why I have my honorary degree from one of the universities, and also from other part of the world, including Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Hong Kong, China, and even Middle East as well. I have students from Bahrain, from Libya, from Iraq. So you can take a look at that later. I'm not going through all this one by one. But it's quite interesting in the sense that you can also take a look in terms of the repository, statistic. They also told me that the information under my name, it has been downloaded for 61,000 times. And also out of my 334 items inside there. And there was 61% of those papers, you can have the whole text, the full text in there. And also 61% of those papers are the open access. And then some of the papers in this particular one have been downloaded 5,162 times. Another one, this is downloaded 3,200 times. So it's quite interesting that, now the university provides this type of information so that make it to the public, because this is relating to what they call the impact. So they're hoping that our research work is able to provide, the information and resources to the general public. Same thing applies to the thesis as well. So this is the particular student, she is from Thailand, and then one of my first students graduated in 2008. And then, if you take a look at that particular title, you can take a look in terms of the full thesis, and also some of the front pages, some of the like the abstract, etc. Again, similarly, you can take a look in terms of the download. It's also quite interesting. She graduated in 2008, okay, and then she has some interest, quite a high number of a download. And then even recently, she got some other downloads as well. So for her particular thesis, it has been downloaded close to 2,000 times, and then have been 566 hits. So I find it's very interesting. With this information, you can assess, and then all these are publicly available. So in the public domain, you can take a look at Google Scholar. I have something similar as well. You can take a look at the number of citations I have, and also H-index, and the number of papers I have indexed 10 times. Cited 10 times, 81 papers under that category. In particular, my papers, well, which was published during my PhD research with my late supervisor, Professor Kipo Wong. And this was published in 1993. But I can tell you that even up to now, well, I observed, well, the paper still has been cited. And well, it has put close to 500 citations so far on that paper. And then well, some others, portal, you can take a look at the information like the ResearchGate. Okay, they call me have a score of 28.66, they're under the top 15%. And then they have a computer science or bibliography. And also IEEE Explore, I have 126 papers in there. And in terms of the Scopus, well, in here they put down 200 papers. And then also in terms of the Publons, well, they coded around 176 papers in there. And then well, this is the same papers, well, which on the Google Scholar have been the top cited paper, similarly in here as well. And also quite interesting that in here, well, Publons also give me the impact over times. That you tell me the times have been cited and also the number of publications. So obviously, well, now I'm gradually, well, since I retired 5 years ago, I'm more or less well, going into more or less a much more reduced type of output. Okay, nevertheless, well, that's finished with my introduction of myself. As I said, well, don't look at it, just look at myself, but rather I would like you to use these tools to try to look out further information for some researchers. Well, they might be doing some areas in your work. Now let's come back to the main one is in terms of the emerging technologies and also the educational resources. So I have listed the number of the key technologies. Well, although there are some other reports I can, if you just simply search emerging technology on the internet, you'll come back with a lot of articles. So there are quite a number of different views depending on the application, are they in business, are they industry, manufacturing, etc., etc. But I just highlight some of these emerging technologies, which I consider they have been significant because they received the fundings within IEEE. So I would say that you must agree with me that AI, machine learning, and deep learning, well, those related technologies are one of the main areas that driving, well, we call the Industry 4.0 and all the new eras of operations and technologies. And also closely related to that will be learning and the analytic technologies. Of course, another one is the networking and the communication technology. Well, of course, this one is, well, as you can see, the reason we're able to, you can hear my talk, well, is really with a fantastic advancement in the internet technology, and also with the advancement of the computer architecture and the software and all those things. So another one may not be that prominent at this moment of time, but it's already happening quietly, is on the brain technology. It's enabling the human-computer interaction and then enable people can control the system and using the brainwave, the ECG, or vice versa, looking into analyze the emotions of the people. And then the one also working in the background is the blockchain technology. Well, obviously blockchains keep the headline and also draw a lot of attention from the audience because of the Bitcoin, because of the money involved. But nevertheless, there are a lot of practical usage of blockchain technology apart from just Bitcoin. And of course, if fundamental technology itself, I have mentioned the computer technology, the infrastructure. Well, one of the things that people looking at the limitations, of the Moore's law or the silicon base, but we can see that already there are things happening in other approach like the quantum and also some others technique as well. So the other one is the virtual reality and the augmented reality. Again, this will provide a lot of application and potential use in education, manufacturing, and diagnosis, and all those aspects. So the reason I'm saying all this because to a certain extent, IEEE has the initiatives and on all these technologies. So coming back to IEEE, in case you're not so familiar with it, we are the largest, the world's largest technical professional organizations. Well, our key word is advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. So we have at the end of last year, we have over 400,000 members, 160 countries, and over 50% of them are outside of USA. And then we have a lot of student members. As a matter of fact, in India, you have the highest number of student membership. We have 342 sections, and we're divided into 10 geographical regions. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. And then we have a technical chapters. We got the student branches. We got the student branches chapters of the technical societies. And also we have what we call the affinity groups, well, including the women engineering, young professionals, well, referring to those, well, professionals that they have graduated within the 15 years since the graduation. Life members are those that they have been in the society for long enough, and also over 65 years old. If they add up the number of the membership plus their age, if they are 100, then they're considered as a life member. And also the other one is the IEEE entrepreneurs. Some other one is the consultancy network as well. So the technical interests are all divided into the 39 technical societies. And then also there's 7 technical councils that have some common interest between the societies. And also there are 5 million documents in the Explore. Well, I would say the IEEE is not the biggest number of documents, okay? You have some others, I think there's another one with 8 million, more than that. But because you must bear in mind, IEEE also only limited to our field of interest, 16 of those, and mainly related to electronic, computer, electrical, telecommunication, etc. But the key thing is that we have this set of 5 million documents, and then they are being downloaded regularly. And the statistics shows that if over 8 million downloads per month. But they are being stored in the Explore together with the proceedings from the conferences. And there are also active standards, and that's very important because they provide the guidelines and the standardizations of the equipment and the protocols, hardware, software, for the industry to follow. And also there are transactions for journals, magazines, in addition to the conferences as well. So they are they're the repository of the knowledge that's contributed by the members and the non-members. And also from the conference point of view, where there are over 500,000 attendees. Although this year, because of COVID-19, we do see some disruption to the conferences. But nevertheless, a lot of the conferences has go into virtual mode, and that have increased some of those conferences, the attendance dramatically. And that is another aspect. So we have yet to see that, to what extent the models of conferences is going to change within IEEE. So the conference proceeding is already mentioned. So in terms of the geographical locations, the IEEE is organized in the 10 geographical regions, and we are in the Asia Pacific regions in here. We constitute around 1/3 of the overall membership. And then the region 8 is another biggest one that comprises of Africa, Middle East, Europe, and also Russia as well. So they got a big geographical locations, and then they have around 20% or so. It's anticipated, there's a lot of potential to grow, in particular in Africa. And then they have the Latin America and also the South America, and this is where they call the region 9. And then you have the region 7, which is Canada, and region 1 to 6, is a USA. Now, one may question why USA have so many regions. You must bear in mind that IEEE was originated from IEEE from New York, from USA. So, and also they have the largest number of members, as a single country. So although there has been some talk of some realignment of the region, but it's not coming too early. So within Asia Pacific region, for region 10, we have 59 sections. And then they are also being divided into certain councils, depending on the number of sections within the country. So within India, you have 12 sections. So you also have quite a number of subsections as well. And then China councils, Korean councils, Japan councils, New Zealand council, and of course, Australian council. And in addition, there's some other individual sections. They may not have a lot of sections within the country. Say, for example, like Pakistan, but they do have 3 sections, but they haven't formed a council. So this is the organization and how the members belongs to as one of the geographical unit. In India, you do have an Indian Council, comprises of the 12 sections, and these are the names of the leaders and the chairs. You can always take a look on the website regarding IEEE Indian Council. So the governance of IEEE organizational chart is this one. So we have 6 major boards. So what you have observed in terms of the sections and councils and regions managed under the members and geographic activities board. And then you have a technical activities board that oversees the 39 technical society. And then within this society, you could have the local chapters within the local section. And then you can also have the student chapters that form under the section as well. So again, India, because you have a good number of student members. I think it's over 50,000 or so. You also got a high number of student branches as well. So you have some other majors. One is the PSPB, which is the Publication Services and Products Board, and the Education Activities Board, the Standard Association, and actually USA. This one oversees Region 1 to Region 6. I'm going to talk about mainly, well, is from the Educational Activities Board. Well, this is where they provide the educational resources. Although it's not exactly all from them, but they provide the coordinations and also the management of those resources. And also the other New Initiatives Committee, which is committed directly under the Board of Directors. So let's start off with looking at the strategic plan of IEEE 2020 to 2025. So these are the goals. And again, you can take a look on the website, just search it. But I would like to highlight, well, the aspect in terms of the goals is to drive the global innovation through collaboration and sharing of knowledge, public understanding of the engineering and technology. And this is the main one because we're talking about the educational resources. Well, we do see IEEE, we aim to be the trusted source of educational services and resources, and also to support lifelong learning. And then I'll again explain why we're looking at lifelong learning. And also another one is in terms of the career and professional development, and also building the communities. So in terms of the strategy of the Educational Board in 2020, again, you can see the same thing. To develop and deliver educational products and services to the members, professionals, educators, and students, so they can understand the IEEE fields of interest. To also support the career preparation and professional enhancement, foster diversity, and ensure access to lifelong learning opportunities. So again, you can see the alignment of the strategy of Educational Activities Board and also the IEEE overall strategic goals. So this is how Educational Activities Boards see itself. That is, no doubt, is one of the 6 major boards within IEEE. But on top of that, it aims to encompass the service of the educational resources to the whole IEEE environment through the coordinations and cooperation. So I mentioned about lifelong learning. The reason behind it is IEEE look at each individual. Well, the cycle of learning does not stop after you graduate from the university, but really it goes much before that. This is the pre-university level. Well, that is from kindergarten to year 12, and then go into the university. And this has been our main interest, in particular for the student members, whereby we're hoping that they can get involved with IEEE and also continue with the membership when they become the professionals. And then when they graduate, within 15 years, they're being classified and considered as young professionals. And then they consider, move on to become, the advanced or the mid-career professionals. But even when the professionals are retired, we do see that the lifelong learning is really and considered part of it because due to the interest, and also maybe they can contribute as well. So this is what we see that IEEE look at the whole, one's individual life is really the whole cycle that are from the pre-university all the way to the retired professionals as well. So these are the products that IEEE Educational Activities Board oversees. From the pre-university level, we're looking at tri-engineering. The main objective is to raise to provide inspiration to the younger generation about the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Well, I would say that, in the Asian countries, in particular Asia, this part are doing very well. That you have a lot of students that are interested to become the engineers, the technicals, field as well. Well, for the professional people, we aim to provide them with a continued education through the IEEE Learning Network. And also included in that is the IEEE e-learning. And there are also some kind of certificate system in place as well, so that some of those courses can receive the certificates to recognize their professional development hours or the continued education units that they have completed. And then some others within the university, there's some partnership between the university and also the industry through the EPICS. And also there's an honors society called the Ita Kapanu. This is the one that recognize the is an honor system for those good students. And then, well, they have another one for the accreditation for the educational programs through the ABET, and some others, well, some other program as well, like the IEEE academics, but those ones are gradually reducing in terms of the focus. So the main focus are really in some of these fields in here. So let me start off looking at the educational resources through the IEEE Learning Network, iln.ieee.org. The main objective of this one is serve as a one platform for discovery of the continuing education across IEEE. So it's a shared learning management system. So it's want to improve the learner's experience with the continuing education of IEEE. Now, IEEE, well, we are not the only provider of continuing education, well, on the cyberspace. You will be able to see there's a lot of other players as well. Well, but then again, well, even some of those are they're also providing free of charge. So we IEEE see ourselves, we need to differentiate, well, to them is, first of all, we are not a for-profit organization. What it means is, well, what we're doing is non-profit, but that is the status of IEEE. A lot of work is being done by the volunteers. So in other words, well, it is not out aimed to make money. Second thing is, well, we are a trusted brand. Well, together with our knowledge, well, in our Explore and also well, within the standard, etc. So you can be assured that well, those materials and the courses provided has gone through validations and also the peer reviewed, etc. So if you go into the iln.ieee.org, and this is what you're going to see, well, on the website, okay, and then from there, well, you can take a look at the different categories and the topics that they have. So some of this you can see are under the career development, the power engineering, emerging technologies, etc., etc. These materials are being provided and contributed from different operational units within IEEE. Some of the technical society, as I have said, well, you can recall under our organizational structures. So we have the computer societies, well, we have the industrial application society, power electronics society, electronics packaging society, and some others, well, other groups, well, like these are the initiatives, like the smart grid initiative, smart cities initiatives, or under the future directions committees. So there are also maybe some others under the board, like IEEE or USA board, under standard associations, so there's another board as well. So you can see it's really a wide range of resources prepared and provided from different operational units and based on the expertise and then the knowledge. So these are examples, some of the recent courses that have been added. And you can see a lot of these terminologies are more or less, well, are the hot topics. A lot of people are having a focus and working on them currently. Like the Internet of Things, cybersecurity, 5Gs, blockchain, finite elements methods for photonics, smart grids, blockchains for the healthcare IoT. AI is again another one. Edge computing is another one. So all this you can see, well, that they are, well, the leading edge topics, well, of the emerging technology, and they'll be useful for those people who are looking at upgrading themselves and improving the skills. So when you go into the website of iln.ieee.org, then you can go to the different categories. And then by clicking on the category, in this case, I have clicked, well, artificial intelligence. So from here, you show me that a list of those modules, okay? AI and ethics in design, AI ethics design, responsible innovations, from growth to great, human emotions of devices and technology, etc. And then I search another one. This one is called machine learning. So machine learning also give me a couple of these. Application of machine learning, the power system. Application of machine learning in power system, part 1, part 2. And outthinking, Sophia. Solution, again, something to do with power engineering. Results, deep learning application and power system analysis, adaptive hybrid learning for power system state estimation, and attribute guide autonomous vehicle technology. Again, this is another one of the hot topic. So this one is under computational intelligence. Again, there's a certain number of units have been included in there. So all in all, well, what I can say is ILN is really a good source of information on the different topics for those people that are interested in upgrading, and also, well, looking at maybe some kind of a certification, well, of what they have completed. Related to that is the IEEE e-learning modules, a library. Well, again, inside there, you'll find a number of modules. A lot of these, they're also in common, or they're also being collected under the ILN as well. So this is under Explore. So if you go look into under IEEE Explore, the availability of all these IEEE courses. And you can see again, well, these new courses being added, like the 5Gs, like the enterprise blockchain, finite element methods, autonomous vehicles. So these are the front list in 2020 being added: automotive cybersecurity, digital transformation, machine learning, AI standards. So the list of the category, again, is very similar to what you see in ILN. So these are all the different topics, and by clicking it, you can go into different modules again. Okay, so this under the e-learning modules. Okay, so again, you see some of these. So in this case, you got deep learning. You have 2 topics in there. Object visions recognition for intelligent vehicles. Okay. So there's another one under the computational intelligence. Well, there's a computational intelligence for natural information processing, methods and models for collaborative computational intelligence, etc., etc. So just finished the 2 introductions, the 2 main sources of education sources. One is ILN, another one is e-learning. But there's another one, you can also take a look at Innovation at Works. And also a lot of these modules under Innovation at Works, they're free of charge as well. So if you just simply search IEEE Innovation at Work, and this is the website you will see. And then in there, you can also see a collection of different resources. What I've done is I have clicked onto the AI resources. So give me an introduction to what are the AI resources available inside here. And then this one, you can under different, well, topics within that AI resources. They're going to be related to AI, autonomous vehicle, ethical hacking, etc. So this is the AI resources. Okay, so you can go into each individual one and then read more about it. So improving ethics in AI, shooting employment, cybersecurity, can AI learn? So all this information that you can take a look and get a further information. So let's finish very quickly with some of the educational resources, although I haven't really covered in detail some others. I know there's another one, well, also quite popular, is on the English, well, for technical professionals. So, and also some others, well, for those pre-university level, like Try Engineering, IEEE Reach, there's quite a number I can talk about, but due to time, the limitation, I will leave it to you for your exploration. But now I look specifically looking into the initiatives on the emerging technologies, because these are the ones that have been funded by the New Initiatives Committee, and also they are led by the Future Directions Committee. And I would like to show you those websites and the links so that you can take a look yourself later on. So first of all, the New Initiatives Committee, well, is a committee under the Board of Directors. It was formed around 20 years ago and have an annual budget roughly around 1% of the overall IEEE turnover. That's close to around $3 million. So it's quite a substantial amount of money, but bear in mind that this one is not really a research fund as such. Well, really this one is for aiming to do more for development. And development work is really developed, well, for the services and product, well, for the IEEE community. It can be used by the public, but the main thing is it needs to be aligned to the strategic goals and the mission and vision of IEEE. You can take a look at the website through the IEEE NIC, or maybe just type in the full name, New Initiatives Committee, and you will be able to find the further information. So I used to give some other talks to introduce that particular committee and also how to get money for that, but this is not for this section. But nevertheless, one of the information you can see is the list of the past project that Nick has supported before. And from here, you can see, well, the project on IoT, Internet of Things, well, we funded in 2014 to 2016, well, to $1.36 million. The big data initiatives, the cybersecurity, well, all those are close to $1 million, or we close $700,000. So you can see that, well, IEEE has been funding, well, initiatives, well, on these the leading edge and the emerging technology, which are relevant to the field of interest, well, of IEEE and also for the researchers. Others like the reporting computing. Okay, so this one, the major activities is really, we're looking at the industrial roadmaps for the devices and and the system. But this roadmap has already been published. But again, this is something that you can look into. And also they do things like the Industrial Summit, looking into the low power, the image recognition challenge, reporting computing, etc. And one of the major output from that one is the AI, machine learning, and the cybersecurity confluence. There was a 3 days event, and then we'll come up with quite a substantial report. But BRAIN initiative is the one that I mentioned, is another area of the emerging technologies that are providing the interface and using for the control through the brain waves. Digital reality, this is the one that relates to the augmented reality and the virtual reality. Again, you can see that they have been funded close to over $500,000 to under $1 million. Then it leads to another committee within IEEE, which is the Future Direction Committee. So this is where those emerging technologies and the initiatives that you have seen earlier on are being led and initiated by this committee. They have one website on the blogs, so you can take a look in terms of the keywords and the articles they have published. And you can see the keywords through the tech cloud, that the artificial intelligence come up strongly as the first one. And then it's by the other one, like the digital transformation and the autonomous system, and some others like the machine learning and the brain initiatives, and robotics, obviously, some others. So each one of these initiatives have formed a technical community, and they have their website. So you see the blockchain, they have one blockchain initiative. So it's really talking about, it's the foundations of a new way conducting transaction, so they can provide the security, and also the provided you can able to check it. The BRAIN initiative is the one dedicated to advancing technology that improve the understanding of the brain function, revolutionizing the current ability to reverse engineer the neural circuits and develop new approaches to interface the brain with machine for augmenting the human-machine interaction. And then the digital reality. So this one serves to enable the coming digital transformation that is fueled by the advances of sensors, actuators, AI, machine learning, and also by leveraging the augmented reality and the virtual reality, so they can provide digital twins. Well, that's why you have the both physical identity and also the digital identity as well. Future network is mainly on the network and the communication. Although that people's attention have been on the 5G, etc., but really things has go beyond that. It's already looking at 6G. So, and looking at some other network-based software-defined network. So those are the objective of this initiative, is to bring together the researchers, scientists, and the engineers from industry, academia, and also the government, so to solve the challenges around the development and deployment of the next generation network. Quantum computing. So this initiative is to serve as IEEE leading community for all the projects regarding the quantum technologies. So this is, I think that this one hasn't been, did not ask for funding from NIC, but nevertheless, the initiative is to identify the challenges and the opportunities and the leveraging the collaboration between existing initiatives and then engage the community at large. Robotic computing is the one that you have seen earlier on. We talk about how to rethink the computer that go beyond our current silicon-based type of system. So each one of these, they have the individual web page. So you can just search it, say, for example, like the blockchain, IEEE.org. They're all set up in a quite similar type of arrangement. So they have the IEEE logo, they have the name of the initiatives, and then you have a number of the icon you can click and see, well, this is the homes, or what is it all about, what's so new about it. A lot of time they will just lead up to a number of different articles. What are the communities they have set up, the conferences they have, the educational program they have, and technical briefs, publication resources, and the standards, etc. So similarly for the BRAIN initiatives, one of the interesting activities in BRAIN initiatives are the competition. Well, it's regular, they have the hackathons, which is being done together with some conferences. And it has been very effective and attract quite a lot of participation from the local schools and the university. Digital reality is the one that I mentioned. that is aiming, looking into digital transformation and digital trends, and then looking into incorporation of the techniques like AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, computational intelligence, AR and VR, etc. Future network. So this is the one that go beyond what we have, looking at the futures. Okay, so from the 5G to beyond, a comprehensive look at the future networks. Quantum. Okay, you can see a very similar type of setup. Well, home, about, what's new, conferences, education, publication, standards. So looking at the one coming up called Quantum Week, well, in October. Rebooting computing. So this is the main one that I mentioned about the roadmap. And this is the one that relating to the devices and the system. Okay. And then the big data. I would say big data is one of the effective, I would say fruitful type of initiative. In particular, they brought out the data port. So the big data is really looking at the systems of all the data that are looking into the development of the analytic and predictive algorithm. And then the data port is a separate website. Well, you just take a look at IEEE dataport.org, and then they provide a repository of a data set, so people can share the data set that they have. Then they can use it for the comparison. So these are some examples of the data set they have inside there. On the left-hand side, you can see the whole list of the categories under AI, astronomy, bio, the biophysical, cloud computing. And then you can click on each one of these, okay? And all the way down, computational intelligence, visions, COVID-19, financial, geoscience, machine learning, the 209, so obviously there's a lot of interest in there. Power and systems, signal processing, standard research data, etc. So these are all the list of the data set you can look into. So the next one is IoT, Internet of Things. So you can see that this is another website. Well, although this one has been finished with the funding from NIC, but in 2016, but you can see that it's still there. And they're providing some kind of continuing education materials like IEEE Guide to the Internet of Things. You can also get your certification through the new course in this IEEE IoT. So cybersecurity is another one. So obviously, this is the important areas. And then from there, I mentioned about the AI and the machine learning that applied to cybersecurity. And this has been one of the outcomes through the rebooting computing and supported by NIC. So all in all, okay, you can observe there's quite a fair amount of information available from IEEE for educational purpose. And also, well, I only touch on maybe not even 50% of those. I haven't really touched on about the standards. I haven't touched on about the roadmaps, and I haven't touched on in terms of the pre-university education, etc. But nevertheless, well, you can be assured that IEEE is dedicated to the provisions of educational services and resources to enhance public understanding and career and professional development of its members, well, through the EAB and also associated organizational unit. So this is where you have seen. And also IEEE Future Directions Committee and the new initiative committee have been instrumental in establishing the leading edge initiative on the emerging technologies. So these are the examples I have shown you just now earlier on. So I would say that we aim to fulfill the questions, well, to fulfill the missions of IEEE on advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. So that's about it, well, of my sharing. So I know that this is going to be a weekend. And I wish you all the very best with your future endeavors. Okay, so I finished my sharing now. So now I pass the time back to the host.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the wonderful, insightful the webinar talk on the IEEE resources. We can move to a Q&A session for our participants. We do have 2 questions already. Okay, let me ask first question from Dr. Yasmin Ali. Dr. Yasmin, you can ask your question to Professor now.
I do see some of the questions on the Q&A.
Yes, sir.
Answer
I
it. Okay, I have.
want to ask question as well. So Mr. Lalit Yagnik will be the second one.
Yes.
Let's ask.
You want me to answer the question on Q&A first?
Those questions are from Mr. Lalit Yagnik.
Okay, the question is from Lalit Yatnik. Industrial solutions are using emerging technologies. Seeking your advice, Australia has a strategic paper on engaging India with your involvement and Murdoch University. Could we explore joint projects with Techno and JR? Techno is very unique, focusing on emerging technology industry solutions with new focus on intermixed research by Professor Prasan. And I spent a good amount of time in Australia and the citizen and a mentor Techno and JR. I can see potential opportunities for, and you also have the lab for AR, VR, IoT, AI, cloud, blockchain, etc. So, okay, my answer is, well, obviously, well, there are opportunities, well, for Techno India to work together with Australia. But as I said, officially, I have already retired from the university. So unfortunately, I will not be able to speak on behalf of the university. In my role as emeritus professor is only an appointment, but I'm still involved with some supervisions. Well, I can involve in a certain extent, but I won't be able to speak on behalf of the university. So I can only put you, or maybe you have to approach the international engagement within the university to see what's a possibility. Okay, so of course I can see the possibilities in there, but as I said, I may not be able to speak well on behalf of them. Okay, that's my only answer. But obviously, well, what you mentioned in here, well, there are synergies, and what you can also do, you can take a look in terms of the interest of the faculty staff as well. My close collaborators is a Professor Kit Wong, and he was my ex-student. And well, the main interest that we will be on AI, computational intelligence, etc. So there might be some others staff that are looking at the AR and VR. Blockchain, I don't think we have a lot of people working on that. IoT, just, yes, we do have IoT initiative. I think lately they've been working together with Cisco on that part. There's another David Murray. I think there's one that I can think of. Okay, so as I said, I can think of some names, but then again, I will not be able to speak on behalf of them. So we have to explore this later. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think well, I think you answered that very well. And I mean, I spent a fair bit of time in Australia. Actually, I was with IBM Australia for many years, and I still travel every second. But now, why I'm raised this question is that I was working with Department of Foreign Affairs about a few months ago, and they have come out with this strategic engagement with India as a very key partner. And one of the key areas is industry academia collaboration. And good part of my work at IBM also involved industry academia collaboration, working with Monash and Melbourne and RMITs, etc. Since I was based out of Melbourne. So more and more I realize that while India, we have lots of institutions of eminence like IITs, etc. But you will be surprised, and I'm speaking purely knowing both best of both worlds, that Techno NJR and now with your relationship established, I think we have a very unique position because we not only do regular study, but our innovation center and incubation center focuses on applying this for industry. So smarts, etc. But to cut long story short, I mean, I clearly see opportunity, and sometimes you need championship guide advice from people like you who are also active in IEEE education sector. And then if we can bridge that gap, and I know that Australia is looking for some people to take lead with that India engagement paper. So I mean, of course, somebody has to start something. So if I was to do something, great, that at least at your personal capacity, we can leverage in that communication. And sure, if there's anything relevant or work taking place, you can point us to. But thank you, Professor. It was great, great to see all. Particularly, I mean, I personally didn't know so much of depth and work which is taking place even in the big data world in IoT. So we'll definitely a lot more educated to leverage from. So thank you very much.
I just given you my email address, so
Sure.
maybe we can discuss it offline. That have a chat through the email, then we can take a look how do we go from there. But as I said, I may not be able to speak on the behalf at this moment of time, but definitely we can look into the possibility. And as I said, I may be able to put you through some people. I said I won't be able to take any lead because I'm no longer as a full-time staff at the university. Yeah, but I can involve in agenda on the co-supervision, helping in that way. Yeah, really appreciate.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Next time I'll be in Perth, I'll look you up for a glass of orange juice or apple juice on the Swan Lake. Yeah. Swan Lake is beautiful. Yeah, sorry.
Have you been to Perth before?
Oh yeah, multiple times. I was with IBM and I used to be part of this industry association called Share Guide. I'm not sure whether you have heard of. But doing some project where academia was involved. So Perth was multiple times I've come, and being an epicenter of the resource industry, I spent a lot of time with BHP and in that industry too.
Yes, good. I used to have a student. She did an internship at IBM in Perth as well. Okay. Yeah, your office is just close to the freeway, at the exit, very close to the city, North Bridge.
Right. No, and I also live in the same time